Is it an alien probe? Is it a spacecraft? Is it itself the alien? My name is Lauren Hellickson, and you can call me your spooky science friend. I like to explore the places in science where data, uncertainty, and maybe a little bit of the high strange might overlap. Today, on the eve of its closest encounter with Earth, we are talking about Three Eye Atlas. And this is exactly the kind of topic where science, mystery, and imagination start bleeding into each other. And that overlap isn't necessarily a problem, it's actually where some of the most interesting questions live. But when that happens, we need to slow down and separate what we know, what we infer, and what maybe we're just speculating about. So, we're going to tackle the internet's biggest questions about our interstellar visitor. So, what is Three Eye Atlas? Well, it is an interstellar object. That means it did not form in our solar system. It originated around a different star, under completely different conditions, and is now passing through our system on a hyperbolic trajectory. And that trajectory matters. It tells us the object is not gravitationally bound to our sun, making it just a visitor, not a permanent resident. That fact is what makes it so scientifically important. So, how old is it? And if it's not from here, where did it come from? Objects just like this are assumed to be extremely old, like billions of years old. They likely formed during the early stages of planetary system formation around other stars, then were ejected through gravitational interactions with larger bodies, and over time, they drift through interstellar space until chance puts them on a path through another system. So, this isn't something that arrived, it's something that's been traveling longer than the Earth has even existed. And this is not our first interstellar visitor. We have had two other visitors in recent history, 2017 and 2019. And those are only the observed visitors. It's very likely that this, while not as common as other things, is fairly more common than us thinking that Three Eye is a one off. It's not. It's actually in the name, Three Eye. It's not the first, it's the third. Now, that doesn't make it any less interesting because, like I said, this is the third observable interstellar visitor. And it's still a growing data set. So it's going to be the closest on December 19th. Doesn't that worry you? I mean, it's going to be close. How close? It's going to be its closest on December 19th. But Three Eye Atlas is not close. Its closest approach is around 2 AU, which is an astronomical unit, and that is the distance between Earth and our sun, two of them. To put this in perspective, especially for my spiritual girlies and boys out there, Mars, that pesky, occasionally retrograded Mars. Do you know what retrograde means? We can do that some other time. Mars routinely comes closer to Earth than this object ever will. So, this is like telescopic science. It's not necessarily any sort of earthly interaction, not even in close proximity. It's not an encounter. And that matters a lot in especially a lot of the stories that circulate around this event. I saw some photos and they were awful and they were blurry. Like, why are the photos so bad? That's actually a really good question, believe it or not. So let's ground ourselves around how far away the images of Three Eye Atlas are being taken from. The most recent images were captured from an Earth-based telescope. That means we are talking about distances in the realm of tens to hundreds of millions of kilometers between camera and object. We are imaging this object from further away than the distance between the Earth and Mars at many points in their orbits. So why can't we get a better image of it? This is where you hear a lot of that, like, oh, we can live stream on our mobile devices, but we can't get a clear picture of a rock in the sky. Our phone camera works because the subject is usually nearby. It is typically brightly lit and relatively stationary compared to you, and very stationary compared to Three Eye Atlas. Our cameras also work in the visible light spectrum. Space imaging is, for all intents and purposes, completely opposite. These images are often very long exposure captures of incredibly faint objects moving rapidly against a star field, taken with wavelengths that human eyes can't even see. Then they are processed, they are combined, they are translated. So what we're looking at is not a photo in our everyday sense. It's data rendered into something that we can see and interpret visually. Expecting it to look like a selfie misunderstands the tool, not the science of it. Yeah, but what's his name said that it has alien behavior and like all of these strange things that keep happening with it. Honestly, these are valid concerns. Of course, it's scary, it's unusual, it's not something that happens every day. But a lot of the alien speculation around Three Eye Atlas focuses primarily on its behavior. The changes in the tail, the apparent directional shifts, the variations in brightness. But to astronomers, none of this is strange. It's exciting to see it. It's very understanding that the average person might find this information maybe a little unsettling. So we're going to break it down a little bit. Comet tails are not rigid structures. I think we know that. They respond to solar radiation, solar wind, rotation of the actual object itself, and the release of volatile or melting material on its surface. As the object heats, sometimes unevenly, jets of gas or dust can even turn on and off on the surface. And those very explainable things can often make the tail of an object appear to change, get longer, shorter, even change direction or split or fail or brighten. It's not necessarily steering itself. It's passing gas. Kind of. Yeah, it's like a comet fart. I'm not going to edit that out. The apparent directional shifts, and this one is pretty critical. What some people will interpret as a sudden course change are almost always perspective effects. So we are observing from a moving platform ourselves, Earth, which is orbiting the sun while the object is moving on its own trajectory. So imagine you are a mile away from me and I am using binoculars that can see a mile and we're on totally flat ground, except I am running in one direction and you are coming at me and you're like going side to side and then you're running to the left and then you're running to the right. My ability to be able to keep you in frame and be able to tell what direction or if you are going up or down or left or right would be very difficult. So there is a lot of math and different locational arrangements of satellites and things to track movement out in the observable universe, because small changes in a viewing angle can make even very smooth gravitational motion appear incredibly erratic. And this happens constantly in astronomy. That is sort of where this idea of possible propulsion could be coming from. Outgassing alone, where things are melting or being released from the surface of the object, can produce measurable, even if minute, measurable changes in velocity. And this has already been modeled, observed, and reproduced with comets for decades. So we don't need to inject that intention when physics already explains that motion. Listen, it is an alien probe. I know it's an alien probe. I felt it, and I got to get my tinfoil hat because they are speaking to me. It being an alien probe is probably the least likely explanation. And let's talk about the probability of that. Statistically, of course, the likelihood that life exists elsewhere in the galaxy is incredibly high, possibly inevitable. Given the number of stars and planets and the galaxies that we have seen images of already, the probability that Earth is the only place that life ever occurred approaches near zero. But that doesn't mean that every interstellar object is artificial. It is alien, but not like little green men spaceship alien. For something to be a probe, we would expect very clear signs of structure, of obvious propulsion, of controlled maneuvering, or behavior that cannot be explained by known physics. And we just don't have that. This is where it gets a little bit more relatable to the paranormal side of things. Calling this an alien probe requires adding assumptions. Calling it a natural interstellar object requires none. In science, the explanation with fewer assumptions wins, until proven otherwise. That is Occam's razor. And of course, we do need to address the elephant in the room, the physicist elephant, if you will, in the room. Credentials don't replace data. I've said this a lot, though. This part really matters. So I don't care where somebody studied. Credentials don't replace data. Credentials do not turn speculation into evidence. It doesn't make your opinion any more valid than somebody else's opinion if it is not based on calculable data. What does matter is whether a claim is supported by that compelling data that cannot be explained by existing models. And right now, alien interpretations of 3I Atlas are speculative and subjective at best. They are not supported by stronger evidence than they are natural explanations. And don't get me wrong, of course, interesting ideas deserve discussion. Why do you think I'm releasing this video? Why do you think I'm recording this video? It is December 18th. I waited to the last minute going through everything that I wanted to learn about this before forming my own information to communicate it with you. So these interesting ideas, they deserve discussion, but extraordinary claims will always still require extraordinary evidence. And why does this belong in paranormal spaces? This is actually why I think the paranormal community should care about astronomy. It changed my academic path, and I decided to pursue astronomy and physics. We're already so comfortable with uncertainty, with liminal spaces, with the idea that not everything meaningful is immediately interactive or visible. And interstellar objects and the galaxy itself reminds us that the universe is so dynamic, it's so old, and it is so active. Matter moves between stars. Systems, our system, isn't isolated. And that alone should reshape how we think about existence and connection. So 3I Atlas doesn't need to be aliens for it to matter. It's a traveler. It's a relic. It's a reminder that planetary systems exchange material across unimaginable distances. Over in this workshop, we like to measure what we can and admit what we can't. And we let the universe stay strange without forcing it to be something that it isn't.